This week, the fresh produce markets saw some big moves. Potatoes plunged another 11.5% to just 41 Rand per 10 kg, while onions held steady and tomatoes crept higher. Carrots dropped sharply, peppers cooled off, and avocados kept climbing. I'll break down exactly why prices are shifting, what's driving supply, and where the trends are headed next. Proudly brought to you by Standard Bank and Villa Crop Protection. Please do me a small favor and subscribe to our channel. It will help us a lot to improve the content and bring you all this info each week. Potato prices dropped again this week, averaging on 41 Rand 1 cent per 10 kg, down 11.5% from last week and a sharp 48% lower year on year. As can be seen, weekly volumes increased by 19% week on week and remained about 42% higher year on year. Extra large potatoes traded at 46, large also at 46, mediums at 39 and smalls at just 26 Rand per 10 kg. Mondials also came under pressure, dropping to 41 Rand, while Cephras reached 46 Rand. We're still following a similar price trend than in 2022 and is due to more volumes, especially out of Limpopo, due to more favorable weather conditions during the winter months. In 2022, the volume spiked in September, resulting in prices to remain on a lower level until October of that year. Quality is still, however, good on the markets at the moment, but warmer weather can turn this around quickly as well. Expect prices to remain lower for now, even though a few regions will finish up soon, like the Eastern Free State. The onion prices averaged on 60 Rand 2 cents per 10 kg, up 0.5% from last week and almost 3% lower year on year. Volumes moved 6% higher and is now 7.5% higher than a year ago. Large onions traded at 62, mediums at 66 and extra large at 50 Rand, while small onions stayed low on 39 Rand. Brown and white onions averaged on 59 Rand, while red onions dropped to 119 Rand per 10 kg last week. A slight price increase is expected over the coming week, but medium-term pressure remains due to high supply and no major weather disruptions over the past 2 months. Tomatoes decreased slightly to 8.62 per kilogram, down 3%, while volumes jumped 12% higher the past week and is now 5% higher year on year. Large tomatoes traded at 8.72, extra large at 7.52 and mediums at 9.20 per kilogram. My feeling is that we can follow a similar price trend compared to last year, when volumes remained on a higher level during August and prices moved lower during that period. The seasonal trend forecast indicates that prices can move higher again in September, possibly reaching the 10 Rand mark again by then. Carrot prices dropped sharply to 5.66 per kilogram, more than 9% lower the past week. This price, however, remains 39% higher year on year. The sharp drop was due to 19% more volumes the past week alone, which move us almost on a similar level compared to last year. Large carrots, however, traded sideways on 6.35, while mediums dropped to 4.67 and smalls also came under pressure on 3.09 cents. Compared to the last few seasons, prices remained elevated due to constant lower volumes on the markets. It, however, seems that volumes started to catch up now, which can drive prices lower over the next month or two. This video is also proudly sponsored by Villa. With world-class solutions like Masterlock, tailored for South African conditions, Villa helps you manage risk and increase productivity with research-backed confidence. Pepper prices dropped by 5% to 24.07 cents per kilogram due to 5% higher volumes over the past week. The decrease in price was driven by lower yellow and red pepper prices the past week, while green pepper prices actually traded higher. Green peppers came in at 20.62 Rand, yellow peppers at 31.47 Rand and red peppers dropping to 28.35 Rand. We are now on similar price levels compared to 2023, when volumes also remained lower. If we remain on a similar trend as in 2023, we can expect prices to trade sharply lower until November, when volumes usually started to pick up. Cabbage prices dropped by 12% to R2.69 per kilogram, with 16% higher volumes reported week on week. Compared to a year ago, prices are now 25% lower, while volumes remained about 13% higher. Forecasts still point to further price weakness due to stable production and rising volumes. Garlic increased to R68.33, with local garlic at R76.04 and imported garlic at R57.42. Spinach prices climbed by 1% to R3.10 and is also likely to decrease until October. We can maybe see slightly better prices in December again, when demand is likely to improve for spinach over that period. Sweet potato prices increased to R4.68, but is still about 43% lower year on year due to 76% higher volumes compared to last year this time. This will likely keep prices under pressure for now, and is looking more and more like we will follow a similar price trend as in 2021 and in 2022, when prices remained on a lower level. Pumpkin prices dropped by 7% to R4.72, now 53% higher year on year, while the average butternut price increased to R7.20. Green beans jumped to R17.03, and cucumber prices rose by 24% to R21.13 last week. Visit amtrends.co.za for the latest reports, detailed charts, and free downloads. You can also click the like button on this video if you enjoyed this content. In the fruit market, we saw banana prices increasing by 11% to R8.36 per kilogram, even though weekly volumes also picked up. We're now on a similar price trend than last year, when we saw prices shooting up from this point towards the end of the year. It remains to be seen if volumes will drop from now on, but I think a higher price is likely over the next 3 months. Apple prices traded about 6% higher at R10.70, which is now about 9% higher year on year. There are about 2% less volumes now on the markets compared to last year. Looking at the forecast for apples, we are expecting a gradual upward movement towards the end of this year. Pears also increased by 4% last week and is now trading on R9.46 per kilogram, which is about 11% lower compared to last year. Pear volumes are more than 31% higher year on year, putting a lot of pressure on these prices at the moment. Based on the forecast model, volumes for pears will most likely drop from October onwards, which can support prices from then onwards. Orange prices increased by 10% to R4.72 last week and is now about 13% below last year's levels, with local volumes up 35% year on year. We are below last year's price levels, but still above the levels of the 3 seasons before that, which is some good news. Lower exports this season can, however, keep prices lower for longer, with the forecast indicating that we might see higher prices, especially from October onwards, when local volumes start to drop off. Avocados jumped 9% to R22.98 per kilogram, now 54% higher year on year. Volumes are about 8% lower compared to a year ago. Feta is traded at 32, Haas at 17, and Pinkertons now at R20 per kilogram. As can be seen, prices are well above the levels of the past few years. From August onwards, we usually see prices trending upwards towards the end of this year, with a slight dip expected in December. So expect avos to become more expensive as the year nears an end. Grapes dropped 19% to R45.07 per kilogram, remaining 67% below last year's price levels. Grapes remained on its lowest level in 5 years due to higher than usual volumes on the markets. Pineapples decreased to R9.49, while lemon prices increased by 5% to R5.30 last week. Blueberries jumped 70%, trading on R128 per kilogram. This episode was proudly brought to you by Standard Bank and Villa Crop Protection. For more detailed insights and forecasts, visit amtrends.co.za. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe. Thanks for tuning in and see you next week.